show me your stick? You showing me your stick? Hey? I gotta go and do some work. So Carol's at work at the moment, and because she says that she does everything, I'm going to be out here taking out an old stump. It's not dead, but it's a tree that was cut down quite some time ago, and I'm going to cut it out. So it'll be a bit of effort, but we'll get there. So I'll take you along for the hard ride. This is a stump. It's not overly big. Should be able to dig it out. So I've got my trusty shovel, and we've got the crowbar, good for just snapping it, and then the axe if we need it. So I'll get started, and hopefully it won't take too long. Okay, so what happened was I forgot to press record, so we missed a bit of the digging, the excavation works. So what I do is I grabbed the shovel and I dug around the stump. So you give a bit of room around the stump. You don't want to be too close to the stump, and you don't want to be too far away from the stump. So most of the roots that you can get to are normally sort of at not far below the surface. There's not often that a lot of the roots will go straight down. It depends what sort of tree it is, but for this most of the roots went out sideways. So normally I try to go about a metre from the stump in circumference. It might be a bit less on this situation because the stump wasn't as big, but you go around and you dig out all the soil that you can, and as you're finding a root, you'll fill it with the shovel. So I'm using a spitter shovel here. They're good for digging out the hole. And here I'm going to grab the crowbar. The crowbar is really good for breaking the roots. So it's heavy, so all it looks like hard work and stuff, but the crowbar does all the work. So I lift it up and then drop it down, and it breaks it. So the weight of it will break the root. So I also use an axe in the soil. Here I am thinking I can just kick it over. So I also use an axe in the soil. It's not recommended because obviously the axe goes blunt and it's not what it's meant for. So you do have to go and get the axe sharpened afterwards. Again, it's why the crowbar works really well, because it doesn't matter in the soil, it's not going to blunt it or anything. So obviously not all the roots, because depending on how thick they are, you're not going to be able to break it with the crowbar, but for the majority of them you can break them, or at least damage it enough to chip away at it, and a little bit like an axe. So the more soil that you obviously move away, the easier it becomes as well. You can expose the roots and then use either the axe or the crowbar to break them. Again, using the crowbar, like I said, you pick up the crowbar and you let it drop, and it sort of does its work. So as long as you guide it down to where you've got to go, you don't have to push it down with great force. You sort of let the crowbar do the work. It saves a lot of manual effort that way. So you can use a pruning saw to cut the roots also. It's not something that I do or recommend. It's depending on the size of the stump that you're getting out and such like that. If you want to get out the whole stump, generally an axe and a crowbar would be all that you need, and a shovel. But a pruning saw, I would recommend getting a cheaper one, so that when you put it in the soil, it's not going to matter that you blunt it. Here we are with the axe in the soil. Again, like I said, it's not recommended, and you're not doing that many chops with it. So you can see here that a lot of the roots have been cut now, and it looks like it's almost ready to come out. So it didn't take too long. I think all up it probably took 15 minutes to get this stump out. Obviously, the more work that you do digging around, getting some soil out, the easier it is. removing the soil and exposing the roots is the easiest way. And sometimes, depending on the thickness of the roots, you can break the roots with your shovel as well. That does take a bit of effort, but it can be done. So I'm wearing my safety boots. Always a good idea when you've got these sort of tools. I'm not very experienced with them axe. It would take me a long time to chop wood, just saying. And there it is, the stump's almost out. Like I said, it didn't take too long. I think all up about 15 minutes. And we are blessed because we are in sandy soil. But like I said, sandy soil is not the be all and end all. It's quite hard to keep moist. The plants don't get the nutrients that the plants need. It needs more work. So we do have water tanks. Looks like it's nearly there. Come on, give it a couple of hard ones. Just looking for that last root, looks like. It looks like that was the last one. Sorry about that, people. Oh, is that better? Alright, I think we've done it. That didn't take too long, I suppose. That's it. The stump's out. Drag it over this way. See if I can do both. Here we go. He's out. So we'll leave it on top of the pile. There we go. That's a stump. All out. Didn't take too long, I don't think. Had a drink of water, might have another drink of water now. Bit of hard effort. So the crowbar does really well to snap some of these. Inky decides to bark at nothing. And that's the hole that's left. And that's a pile of soil, and that's a pile of soil. It always seems like when you dig out this soil, it's so sandy that it seems to fluff up and be twice as much. Shall we fill the hole back in? Hey? Do you want to give me a hand, Toby? We'll fill the hole back in. What's that? What's that? What is it? So thanks for watching me do the digging the stump out. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, all that sort of stuff.